Hello, everyone. It's from nice and warm South Louisiana.
Hi, it's warm. What are you talking about?
It's the weather's beautiful here. I'm above freezing. I'm sitting at 38 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was a beautiful day. We hit 42 degrees Fahrenheit today.
42. Man, I'd be out in shorts.
I was out in shorts yesterday. Funny enough, we'll be at 70 again on Sunday.
Jesus. I don't know how y'all do it. I couldn't do it.
What's your temperatures like, Dale?
Right now, I think it's 2 degrees, maybe 1 degree. Tomorrow, I think the high is 0. I don't know when I come out tomorrow morning to do this again at 6 in another 12 hours. It's supposed to be like minus 12, minus 13.
And where are you at, Dale?
I am in southeast Wisconsin. Actually, I'm right behind my goats' udders, and they are warm. Yeah.
That that's one heat source you can get.
Yeah. Oh, they are super warm. She's not too happy with my hands where they're at, but
No, no, absolutely not. Over the last few weeks, scrolling through Facebook, I see a lot of my northerner friends. It seems like I'm friends with more people from the north than the south, and everyone's shoveling snow and sending pictures of snow, and I'm like, I wish we had snow. Well, tomorrow we are forecasted 8 inches of snow.
oh, I'm jealous. We have 0 inches. So we had a white Christmas, but we have 0 inches of snow, just 8 inches of frost in the
I
ground.
I had shorts for Christmas. We were like 75 degrees for Christmas. So it wasn't a white Christmas.
We
Unless
started the day with snow and ended it without.
that's at least you had some snow.
Well, we like
So
snow.
so you raise animals and you homestead in southeast Wisconsin,
I do. Very
and
much so.
you have a very long winter.
We do. See, we got Miss Lil. She's doing her part right now.
So you don't hand milk. You're cheating, is what you're telling me.
Bro, I got way too much to do to sit here for an hour and hand milk. Yeah. Yeah, I just took a turkey breast out of the smoker that I got to go in and slice up for deli meat for the kids' sandwiches. After doing bacon, I smoked bacon for half the day, and then I did turkey.
Yeah, it looks like you're smoking right now.
Uh, yeah, I will be, but that's
Yeah,
just because I'm full of hot air. At least that's what everyone tells me.
yeah. So the biggest thing you've seen the last few days with this Arctic blast coming across social media is, what do I do for my chickens or my quail or, and I think I've seen a couple fires in chicken coops in the last couple weeks with people putting heat lamps on their adult chickens in coops. And
Yep, they
so,
do. I don't
um,
know why, but people do.
I try to tell people your adult chickens, you're actually making them weaker, not letting them, survive through the cold weather and provide them a heat source. Then they'll never be able to adapt to cold weather.
Comes down to one thing: airflow. You
Yeah,
know, sticking a heater in your coop is almost as bad as wrapping it in plastic.
yeah,
Um, 4-H is pretty big for us. We live in town. We live next to big cities, so you get all the city people doing 4-H show chickens and stuff, and they learn real quick that putting the heat and wrapping your coop just causes frostbite. And there goes your show chickens. There goes your show roosters. So we've learned that when you look at the biology of an animal, chickens especially, quail, any poultry, they poop up when it's cold. Just like our insulation. I know you all might not know what insulation is down south, but I tell you, we know what insulation is up here.
yeah.
And if
We
you
answer
squish
the
if
heat.
you squish your insulation, it is useless. It is pointless. You want that fluffy. So that's what birds do. They fluff up all that down. They can get it all fluffed up, blocks the wind and retains their heat.
Absolutely. Like nothing on my farm gets heat other than something in a brooder that actually
Yeah.
requires it.
Yep. Our brooder room is in. it's an insulated room that I built off my shop. I do have a heater in there because we've actually moved all of our quail into it, and I ain't changing 60 quail buckets of water 3 times a day. Ain't got time for that. But just with our brooder stacks going without the heater, when it's 0 degrees, it runs right around 38 degrees in that room, and that's perfect. Quail perform better in cold than the heat. When we hit our 100-degree summer days, that's when we lose more quail to that than we do to the cold.
Absolutely. I lose quail, adult quail, in the summertime with the heat, but in the wintertime, my quail are thriving. They're laying great right now. We have so much of a roller coaster of temperatures. We'll dip below freezing. We'll be below freezing for like 40 hours, and I'm sure we'll be done on those temperatures after this cold front, and it'll be garden season. But
it'll be what season? Garden season?
Garden season, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
Jesus.
we have plants in the greenhouse right now, and I mean, my greenhouse is maintaining above freezing, and I'm running a heater in there right now, so that way I could stay above freezing because my greenhouse is made out of house windows, repurposed house windows, and it does hold some heat. But like we have talked about that, once you lose the sun, you lose the heat. So I have garden cat in there, so I'll keep it. It'll stay above freezing, even though I think our lowest is only going to get down to like 22.
You don't sustain that, right?
No, that it'll be 22 for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
I'll be below 32 degrees Fahrenheit for about 40 hours, 40 consecutive hours.
Well, that's just enough to piss off your animals.
Yeah, yeah. Like the emus have had enough of the rain. We've been getting rain like 2 to 3 times a week for the last 4 months. So like nothing has a time to dry, and then it starts raining again. So that's probably the most miserable part of homesteading down south.
Is all the rain, all the water?
Yeah, like the ground stays wet, and that's the main thing I do in like cold weather preparation for me is I make sure that my chickens have dry ground to get to in their runs and everything, because the ground will freeze. It's like crunchy mud, so I throw hay down in their coops, and well, the fancy chickens get pine shavings. The rest of the chickens get hay.
That's something like us. So we do, moisture is the killer in the winter. It really is. It's not the cold. It's not the wind. It's the moisture. When I first started raising Pekin ducks, it was the first animal we brought in any amount. I mean, we had 50, 60 ducks going at one time. I learned real quick that birds give off a lot of moisture when they breathe. So there was an equation I had found when doing ventilation for animals, and I thought, oh, this is going to be half open. It ain't even going to be a shelter. So I didn't listen to it. And then within a week, in our first winter, I couldn't open the door, couldn't open the roof. Ducks were all frozen. Turns out, math for a reason.
Yeah.
That moisture killed half my ducks in no time, because then they get frostbite, then they get chilled, they get wet, their feathers get wet, and then it's still cold. They don't use heaters. It was an eye-opening that airflow was key to pretty well any of the animals. So all of our animals can get out of the wind if they want. We don't force them to. We do lock them in at night. That's because, we have coyotes and everything. But we just give them an area where they can get out of the wind, and they do great. No heat. We don't wrap anything. My chickens, they have a coop that stays open, and then their run is just a chain link dogma fence, and we have tarps over the top of it, completely open, no wind blocks on the run at all. And even today, when it was 0 degrees, but negative 30 wind chill, they were all outside hanging out because it's 0 degrees. That's something I think people need to be aware of, is that wind chill is not a temperature, and they need to stop freaking out over it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the term wind chill, and you see a lot of weathermen online and on TV, and you know the wind chill seems more doom and gloom.
It is.
So
It's about
you know
scaring
it's
people.
yeah they it's clickbait. I mean,
Yep.
wind chill and the feels like temperature, and but what is the actual temperature? Because
They don't even show actual temperature half the time anymore.
the wind chill won't freeze your water.
Nope. Nothing will get colder than the actual temperature. Wind chill
Yeah,
affects living things.
yeah, and the wind chill effect is, and they use it to measure what the wind feels like against your skin, because it, like humans and animals and you know everything like that, you have a tiny thinny layer of heat around surrounding your skin. So what the wind chill does, why it seems extremely cold to like a person out there, because I mean we're not hairy like a goat or have feathers
Think
like
for yourself.
poultry.
Have you seen my goatee, man?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have a little. I mean, I don't have any up here though. Um, so what it does, it just removes that tiny thin layer of warm air on your skin, so it does feel piercing, and you're like, "Oh, the wind chill is 18," but it's really 30 degrees, and 30 is not bad.
Nope. It sure isn't. That's damn near short weather too.
Yeah. So it, like I see a lot of people, and it just they, the weathermen get people worked up in a frenzy, and like we're gonna get snow tomorrow, and we're gonna be in the 20s tomorrow, and it's uncommon for my area to be that low. So you don't need any extra, you know, unnecessary cause for people to panic. Like this is this is like apocalypse at stores right now.
It's wild. I mean, I don't know about stores. I only go to the store like once every other month. So, but I do
Well,
see the gas station, and there's a lot of people lining up.
so Christina was on the road a minute ago, getting a few things, and she passed by the grocery store. I mean, it just looked like people just lined up, and like we're never gonna get supplies again. Like this
I
is
mean,
it. The
oh, you know,
asteroid's about ready to hit the Earth, and like everybody's lining up, and I mean it's crazy to see, because like so we have a lot of bridges here, and at 5 o'clock this afternoon they shut down all the steel deck bridges
because they're slippery.
because people just like if it's gonna snow, people want to get on the road and go see the snow. Then they don't know how to drive in the snow, so then they wreck, and then there's water everywhere here, so they wreck and they go in the water, and someone has to come rescue them, and so they just shut down the bridges ahead of the snow, because we won't drop below freezing till 6 a.m.
So
But
your snow wouldn't even stay for a day or two anyway.
it's gonna snow tomorrow. They saying 5 to 8 inches, and by Thursday morning the snow is gonna be gone.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's not like you better go outside and enjoy the snow while it's snowing, because it won't last long.
makes me feel any better. I've lived in the north my entire life, and even in Canada, people still can't drive, and people still freak out and go shopping and buy bread and milk, the two things that aren't even going to last you very long. Um, People freak out, and I don't know what it is, but you need water.
Yeah. Why is it the first thing people is toilet paper? Like
So I was running
pandemic.
grocery stores when the government shutdowns all came, and I asked that at many market meetings for a long time, and there, I have no idea, no idea, none. I mean, I was baffled. You
Like
know,
I mean, I could do without toilet paper. Like how many other things I could use? Like
right?
I want shelter, I want water, because I mean I could eat, plants and grass, and I could forage for food, but you need good clean water. So that would be at the top of my list, not toilet paper.
Yeah,
'Cause
no, people
without
are
food,
weird.
you have nothing to wipe. You know.
It's like it baffles me almost as much as people who live where it's cold, sustained cold. Like for me, I'm below freezing for 3 months a year. And I get asked a lot, how do I keep my automatic waters from freezing? And it's like, you got two choices. You can either build a building and heat it, or you can get rid of your automatic waters for a third of the year. That's what we do. We pitch everything. We pitch it all. We don't use any automatic stuff in the winter. We use buckets and little containers that if they break, oh well, the ice stays formed the entire winter. So I gotta set my phone down. So here we go. Let's try this. So we'll knock it over. The she is not so much fun to get off. She's an old goat.
So you are hand watering most of your animals for a third of the year?
Yep. So other than the quail, that is why we built the quail room. Because the 600 quail, I'm not gonna hand water 3 times a day. That's just foolish. So we put the quail in the brooder room. We expanded the brooder room and insulated it. So the automatic waters stay hooked up all year. But we use buckets for all our chickens, turkeys, goats. We used a bucket for our pig last winter. This year we learned not to do pigs in the winter, so we got rid of our pigs before winter this year. We started them in the spring and got rid of them. So for everything else, so we just use a 5-gallon bucket. We bring them in, usually into the brooder room every night, and then bring them out in the morning, give them water, and then we run water at noon, and we run water right before I got on this call with you. We run water, and then tonight around 9 or 10 when I go to close up the shop, I'll give everyone one last round of water and then bring all the water jugs in. Tonight we're actually bringing everything into the house because it's gonna be like -12, so I need the heat in the brooder room focused on the cages, not on the water buckets. But yeah, I mean, animals act different in the winter. They do in nature too. They don't sit at their water dish all day. You know, they know the watering schedule. We keep it the same. So they get water in the morning. When we come out at noon, give them water. They come right out. They drink it before it freezes, you know, and then they come out in the afternoon, and then they come out at night. That's it. You know, if you're adding so much water that your bucket is freezing completely, well, you're adding too much water. You only add enough for them to drink. It's one thing we found with our rabbits. So we use little rabbit water dishes, and we used to just fill it full every time, and then you spend 20 minutes breaking all the ice out of them. Well, that was a waste of time. You put enough in for them to drink, and you walk away. And you come back out in a couple hours, 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, do it again. You know, and it's not hot water. People need to stop giving their animals hot water.
Yeah.
Your body
above freezing.
So your body and animals' bodies, the water needs to be at a certain temperature in order for it to digest, in order for your body to accept it. So when you give an animal hot water, well, your body's not going to cool it down. Bodies don't cool things down. They warm things up. So you give an animal hot water, you're giving it a false sense of heat. It's telling its internal organs that it's nice and warm, so its body's not going to produce as much heat, and it's not going to absorb that water until it hits the temperature it needs. I'm sure every animal's different. I'm not a biologist. I've just done a lot of research. When you give an animal cold water, its body creates energy to warm that water up. When you create energy, you're creating heat. You're naturally and actually heating an animal up from the inside when you give them cold water, not hot water. It's just, you know, many people do it their entire lives, never have an issue. But if people really want to do what's best for your animals, it is cold water. It is not hot water. We do not give any animal hot water. It's always cold. Half the time there's ice. Actually, I'm pretty sure in the jug that I just gave the girls, I've been out here talking to you for, half an hour, and it's got ice in it, right? It is what it is. They like it. It's cold water.
Yeah. I like cold water, too.
We do most of our feeding at night, especially for our rabbits. So our rabbits are right out in the open. They have a roof, but that's it. The north of them kind of has a little shelter, not as much. That's where really cold winds come from. But the west does, and that's where we get really, really strong winds is from the west. But my barn is to the west of them. So we feed our rabbits once a day, and we feed them at night. You know, and same thing with water. When an animal eats food, it's producing energy, digesting it. So the night is coldest for us, so that is when we feed the rabbits. We just feed them at night. They produce plenty of heat. We don't lose rabbits in the winter. We lose them in the summer quite often, actually, but we don't lose them in the winter. We lose way more things to heat than we do cold, and we don't use heat on anything, and it's just ridiculous. It's not worth the risk.
No.
Or the reward. It's not. There's nothing good that's going to come out of it. Sure, you'll skate by, but all it takes is one time for you to not escape high, and you just lost everything. So, and I think some people have issues with birds because they're putting teenager birds outside. Okay, so like if I had my quail still outside, like the first one, or this shed that I'm in actually was my first quail shed. There's absolutely no heat or insulation. It was actually an old cobbler shed built in the 1800s when my house was built. And if birds were like 4 weeks just coming out of the brooder in the middle of winter and when it was cold like this, I'd actually leave them inside. I'd leave them inside until the temps came up to more around the 10, 12 range. Because even at 4 weeks, they're fully feathered, but they're not adjusted.
Yeah.
They're not.
And then that has a lot to do with us as homesteaders and us as poultry raisers, that we could eliminate that issue by timing our hatches to where we're not necessarily hatching them during the cold weather.
Yeah, maybe for you guys in the South, but in case you missed it, I'm cold from December to March.
Yeah. But
we hatch once a week, but we keep an eye on the weather, and I have a brooder room now, so I don't have to worry about it as much. But I don't have to really worry about it at all. But that was something that when I first started, I probably should have done, is paid more attention. I have lost hundreds of chicks at once, bringing them out. Oh, they're 4 weeks old. I'm going to go throw them in the shed. They should be fine. And then come out the next day and they're all dead.
Yeah.
Right. That's not a cold issue. That's a me issue. I didn't do it properly.
The good part is they're all in one pile.
Yes. It's easy to clean up too.
Yeah.
Again, I'd much rather deal with frozen dead animals than hot, goopy dead animals. Okay. With livestock comes dead stock. Unfortunately, it's part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I've always looked at my birds when I'm transitioning off of heat, and it's kind of weird coming from a southerner talking about cold weather because it's not typical, but every time that I do have cold weather, it's at the most inconvenient time. Like I had a huge hatch that I brought out on Saturday, I believe, or something like that. So right before all this cold weather, I used brooder plates in that brooder, and of course,
they're useless.
They're not too bad. I've kind of grown to like them, but I still use heat lamps on bigger batches. So I had a heat lamp, and I had a bunch of chicks that I just kind of just willy nilly late in the evening, just wanted to get done with the chores and go inside. So I didn't check the heat. A bunch of birds piled up next to the water, siphoned the water out of the water, and ended up with a bunch of wet birds, fresh chicks straight out of the incubator. My fault.
Oh, all your fault.
Yeah.
You should have give up. That was terrible.
Yeah, well, if I would have gave up for every mistake I made, I would have quit 15 years ago.
Yep. That's it. You just got to learn from it.
Which, I mean, it was a ton of them, and I ended up saving them, and I think I only lost 5 out of that batch. But like every time I get cold weather is the most untimely, case. Now I've had some batches that I use Inkbird controllers on all my brooder lights for my temperature control. I have batches I'll put out in the brooder and the light never kicks on because it it's 100 degrees at night. Not during the winter time. I mean, our average winter temperature is like 55 or 60. But in the summertime, and like July and August, we'll hit some stretches where we won't drop below 95, 100 degrees. The feels like temperature.
Don't even start.
Yeah, 99 feels like 120.
We get that too. So we get the heat and humidity. So birds aren't the only things that puff out. So I got two yearling does here that we just got them pregnant a couple weeks ago. And they look like they're about 40 pounds each, but they actually only weigh about 12 pounds. But they put on such a nice winter coat. Like these two girls, I don't know if you can see them. Maybe I switch my camera around? I don't think I can. I don't know how to do this stuff. Nope. Oh well. So these girls are just little goats, but look how fat they are. They're actually not. They're not fat. They're not fat. That's all fluff. That is all their winter coat. I mean, they are super soft. I just want to hold them and cuddle with them. They're like little teddy bears.
That'd be a good spot to stay warm.
Oh, they love it. Yeah, this morning when I opened the door, they were a little hesitant on coming out. Not gonna lie, they looked at me like, "Yeah, no, we'll wait till the sun's up, and then we'll come out." But
Yeah,
it's, I think the biggest thing people need to stop doing is freaking out. Stop going into the Facebook groups and freaking out and listening to all these other people who also freak out. It's the worst thing we can do. You know, Coturnix quail can last in their in nature -20. You know, those are temperatures that they get in Japan. Oh, you probably can't see me, can you?
I could see a shadow.
You can see my shadow.
I could hear you. That's bad enough.
Checking on eggs here. Sorry. Oh yeah, I see it, ladies. Now, my animals are picky when it comes to giving eggs when it's this cold, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
2 days ago, we got 8 eggs from our 12 girls, and I got one this morning. They don't like the cold, but they're outside in it, so.
They also don't like the heat either.
No, they like the cold more, though. They're fluffy. You know, everything looks big in the winter. Everything. Yeah. I mean, I look like I'm 250 pounds. I look I'm your size, but I'm just covered in a lot of layers because
easy.
Just a skinny dude.
Yeah.
I think people just need to stop and slow down and be like, okay, a large majority of the world lives where it's cold for a lot more than a couple weeks a year, and we all homestead. I mean, we're heading to Alaska. That's our end game, and they have no problem doing stuff in Alaska, and it's the same stuff.
Yeah. But it's colder.
Longer sometimes. I don't know. Alaska's not the coldest place. Doesn't get the most amount of snow either.
It's cold enough for me.
I mean, I'm pretty sure they canceled the Iditarod this year because there's no snow where the Iditarod's running. But yet you guys in the south have snow. So
yeah, it's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, it happens.
I think the last time we had as much snow as they are forecasting was in the 1800s. Which I don't know how they measure snow back then either, you know.
I imagine the same way they measure snow now with a tape measure.
Yeah, but you know, we're talking about people from Louisiana in the 1800s.
Yeah, well, if what I read in the stories was true, they didn't measure anything.
No, they just like, yeah, that looks about right.
Yeah, I got to run the.
Who was writing these things down?
What do you mean?
Like in the 1800s, nobody from Louisiana knows how to read.
Yeah, right? There's scripters, there's scholars. Oh yeah, they tracked a lot of stuff, dude. I found a study today for someone. I couldn't find the one I was looking for, but someone had asked me about how long eggs can stay cold and still be incubated. It's actually surprising. Eggs handle cold better than they do heat. And this was from the 1940s that this huge study was done. I think it was done by Cornell University. So, they've been tracking this stuff for a long time. We just rather give quail cocaine and see how that messes with their fertilization rate. That's what we do nowadays for studies instead of things that are actually useful.
Yeah, I agree. I think we with the technology we have in 2025, we actually regressed as a society.
We'll see. Here you go. Can you guys handle this milk for me, please? Thank you. Thanks, dear. Oh. I had to hand deliver our milk.
You should hand deliver me some milk.
I'll bring you some honey this year. Maybe some black walnut sugar.
Now we're talking.
So the other thing that, we've gotten used to it for keeping our animals alive is we just pay attention to them. If you know your animals, they'll tell you when something's wrong. They'll tell you when they're super cold. I mean, quail make a noise. They make a different noise for every reason. I don't have to deal with quail issues so much anymore because I'm fortunate enough to have a heated quail room. But all my other animals, which far outnumber our quail, the goats especially, will be ridiculously loud. Did that work? My phone's dying, so I had to come into the shop. My newly renovated shop. Oh, you guys get the first sneak peek. We fully renovated my shop this year. I took a couple weeks off of taking orders to renovate it. I finally have a fully heated and insulated shop.
How are you looking on? How far are you behind on cage build since
Oh,
spring is here?
week or two. We keep it steady right around a week or two. I was actually supposed to ship a bunch out today. I didn't realize today was a federal holiday, so whoops. So they'll go out tomorrow.
Yeah, I have eggs and foam shippers that I was going to ship out, but holiday.
Yeah. Our focus lately has been on making sure the things that we've been doing for the winter are working well. And this is our second winter with the goats, fourth winter with everything else, including the rabbits. And last year we actually draped a tarp over the rabbits when it got this cold, and we had some issues. So this year we're not. It's completely open. Again, it's that airflow. Moisture is the killer in the cold.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone in one of the quail groups the other day. I don't know, man. I actually found some time to be online, so it was weird. And it was the same question over and over, but they said they were insulating their quail coops, and it's like, wait a minute, that's scary ground right there. Now you're restricting all that airflow. You know, a single wind block. That's all they do for cattle. You know, you look at how they raise cattle in Alaska. They get an L wind block so they can get out of the wind from no matter what direction it's coming. That's all an animal needs is a wind block. It doesn't need to be wrapped in plastic. It just needs a wind block.
You ever wrap the chicken coop in plastic?
No. I would get rid of my chickens before I put that much effort into them. I hate chickens.
So, me too. But if you do something like back in 21, we had a cold winter and we had a bunch of plants started early on. We didn't have a greenhouse, and I took some cattle panels and made like a hoop, and I covered everything in plastic. And we had 5 or 6 rabbits at the time. We put the rabbits in there and just to help generate some warmth, just to keep our plants alive because we had a bunch of new plants. And you'd walk in there, everything was sweating on the inside.
You didn't have no airflow.
Didn't have no airflow.
Yeah.
You know, so you actually, by covering completely, you're doing more harm than good.
So what I built, I think did you see it? Yeah, you would have seen it. I think I posted on our page. I built a new style of hutch, a stacking hutch. And I was waiting for really cold temps so I can actually start making sure it was going to work that I wanted it. And that's why it's so open. You know, just the hutch part has 3 sides, but the tops and the bottoms are completely open. You know, the first hutch, the hutch that I currently have on the website, I don't like it. I want to put air holes in it. I want to. I might scrap that hutch because I know it builds condensation up in there. Because people will put something over that doorway thinking their quail need to be in that box at night. And, well, it's just going to be soaked, and then it's going to be cold, and it's going to freeze, and they're just going to die. So that was a big push to why I wanted to get this one out. I wanted to get it out a little bit sooner. It's still not ready yet. I got to get the box thing. I had to figure out how I'm going to box it still. Little game of Tetris, but it has ample airflow. You could put 50 birds in each section if you wanted to, and it would never sweat. You know, it's light enough that if the wind changes direction, just turn it. You know, that's all they need is that one bit just to stop the wind. Birds and animals don't have very much open skin on them. Wind chill directly affects the skin. That's why we are struck the hardest by wind chill. Yeah, it still affects animals. Yes, they still have an air bubble. Yes, the wind still disrupts that heat bubble and lets it go, but they have other means of protection.
Yeah, they have that layer of insulation.
I am wearing clothes rated probably for minus 40, and I'm nice and toasty. I was nice and toasty outside. Now I'm in my shop where it's 60 and I'm sweating. That's the same thing to a bird. You know, when you stick a heat lamp in a bird coop, now they're sweating and it's cold. So what are you going to do if there is a draft? What are you going to do when the heat does go out or when they step outside away from the heat? You know, those aren't good combinations. It's not worth burning your house. I mean, we have them here too. There's fire today. Every day there's almost a fire from chicken coop burning down or fire started by a heat lamp. Like, yeah, I understand there's ways to be safe about it, but it's not necessary. It's really not. You know, you're not supposed to get an egg a day from a chicken year round. They molt for a reason. You know, it's them putting in their fall coat. Quail molt for a reason too. You can't stop the molt. They have to molt. They're putting in their winter coat. My goats, that red goat that I just milked, she's usually gorgeous red. Now she looks like a lint trap from a dryer because she's got so much of her winter coat in now, and she's super fluffy, but she just looks hideous. Animals they're okay, to be out in this cold weather, including the wind. Just give them some way to stop the wind. That's literally all we need to do. Fresh water 2 or 3 times a day. Feed them. If you're really worried, give them a little bit extra protein. The little bit of protein will help them maintain, because their bodies are working more to maintain their heat in the wintertime. So give them a little extra. Give them a little extra protein.
For me personally, like on the extreme cold days, I'll throw a little cracked corn in with my chicken feed, and feed in the evenings. That way, it kind of gives them something to do before they go to roost, and they're processing all that feed while they up on the roost, and they'll stay warm. Because I don't have like my white American breasts have nothing. They have a roof and they have a wall as a wind block, and that is it. They are wide open.
I was hoping my solar lights were still on. I was going to show you what my chicken coop is, and that's, other than their actual coop that they go in at night, it's just a chain link fence. I mean, they're completely open. And I butchered a turkey the other day, and I butchered it right in their pen. I mean, I bled it out in their pen, and by the time we had the turkey put in the freezer, the chickens had it cleaned up. You couldn't even tell I just did it. They thrive on that stuff. They do. You give your animals extra protein if it's cold. We need extra protein. I mean, I eat 3 or 4 eggs a day just to keep me going now, on top of the normal food that we eat.
You want to try to eat more protein when you're getting less eggs, huh?
Yeah, that's what I do. Well, that's why we have quail. Quail will never stop laying.
Only when you need them to lay. That's when they stop.
That's why I don't deal in hatching eggs. I only do chicks.
Yeah.
Cages. But yeah, I wish people would stop and think, and people need to understand what wind chill means. It's not an actual thing. It's not a number. It's a feeling, and it affects things differently. All the numbers we see are geared towards us as humans, because we are furless creatures. Even hairy behemoths like you still have a lot of skin showing. So
yeah, look.
Birds are different. They're literally covered in the stuff that I am wearing in my jacket to keep me warm.
Yeah, that's one of the best insulators they got. Ducks, look at ducks. They'll go swimming.
Oh yeah, so ducks have an interesting circulatory system in their legs. So their veins and their arteries actually run alongside each other. So when the cold blood is getting pumped up into the duck, the warm blood pumping down back into that leg, it's warming up that cold blood as it comes up. It's really cool. Yeah. Like ducks have that. Well, waterfowl have that, and it's because I looked it up a couple years ago, because that's what I said. I'm like, why are these ducks? They're like stuck in the ice. Like my call duck sat here so long that he's like frozen in the ice, and his feet were fine.
Yeah, so. That's pretty cool. And like you can have like a frozen pond, and you bust a hole in the ice, and the ducks will just go swim in it.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I like ducks about as much as I like chickens, though.
That's why I don't do ducks. I got my call duck. The other thing I want to talk about is heated waterers. I mean, I got nothing against them.
Can I get me like a crock pot and put it in my chicken coop with some water in it?
So now you're just going to double the cost of that egg that you got all week? You got 1 egg from that chicken, and it cost you $9. Like, I don't. Yeah. If you want to do it, go for it. I mean, I guess I leave crock pots running. We use crock pots for a lot of things, lard, balms. We do use them, and I trust them. But I don't know. To me, it's a waste. I live this lifestyle to not have to always have that stuff, which is why I use the water buckets. Yes, there have been many times, especially when we had the pig, that I damn near did that. I knew the pig would eat it because it's a damn pig, but if I had large hoof stock, I'd probably be saying a different tune. I don't have to run out water cows. I don't have to run out water sheep, horses, any of that, which I know it's different, and I'm not speaking towards that because I don't have them. But I can tell you right now, a 5-gallon bucket has worked for every single animal we use. Chickens, turkeys, goats, pigs. We had to tip the bucket over for the pig, so we just refill it. But then they're easy. Just bring them in. I mean, I don't even do it. I have my kids bring them in. I don't even have to do it. It's nice. Have more kids. That's the answer. Just have more kids.
No. No. Lane is my last one. No more. No more. Um. Well, I'm a big fan of not heating waters. Um. So what I do for my quail, I have like a complete system, and I could circulate, and where the water never freezes. I have a couple quail. I found an addiction to it. Everything else is water troughs. So I basically the water's gonna freeze on top. It's not full. The water's gonna freeze. I'm gonna go once it's frozen and I go out and water in the morning. I'll pour fresh water on top of it.
Yeah,
Not warm water, just
just fresh
above
cold water.
freezing. Yeah, and then they'll come and they'll peck at the ice and they'll drink the water and well, same thing multiple times throughout the day. Now I'm only doing this for a 2 day stretch, not a 3 month stretch.
Yeah, if I leave a 5 gallon bucket out for 2 days, it's frozen solid.
Yeah. So like I'll just continually go and we'll just pour water and pour water. The only thing that gets like small water cups is like brooders. Like the quail
Yeah,
waters, but everything else is like the goats and the emus are on 5 gallon buckets. Same thing. If the buckets freeze, I'll go out there and I'll just pour more water on top of it. And they drink the water they need and it, I'm not heating water.
no. And again, you're giving an animal warm water, which is counterproductive. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it's counterproductive.
No. We
You want your
were
body to heat. You want your body to create energy, and it has to create energy to heat that water up when you give them cold water. So you're creating natural energy, not fake energy. Yes, but you have to give them more protein, but you should be anyway. It's wintertime.
we were at 40 degrees today and my pig was rolling in the wet mud.
I'm good. We will never do pigs again in the winter. Dealing with a pig through 3 to 4 months of freezing temperatures is not fun. So we'll never do it. We'll do spring to fall. If we got a coon, well, I'll go ship her somewhere for the winter. I ain't doing that again.
Yeah,
No,
it's
that's
not
it.
bad down here.
I think it gets so cold for so long here, our rivers are frozen. I can go ice fishing on rivers. I mean, when we go salmon fishing, I drill a hole in the ice on a fast moving river and catch salmon. Might as well be in Alaska.
Yeah. Yeah, and you have an ice skating rink at your house.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's wintertime. Who doesn't have an ice skating rink? I grew up in Canada. I have to have an ice skating rink. It's more for my kids. Wink, wink. But
I have a mud pit. You want mud?
nope. I'm good. I'll get my mud in the spring. This year we had plenty of mud, more mud than no. I'm good. No more. I like the cold. We choose to live this life up here, and we're actually too far south. We want to be farther north. I have always lived in the cold. I have gone south. I've been to Florida, and I couldn't stand it. I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. So I enjoy the cold. It does have its quirks, but growing up on a farm, I learned it's much easier to warm up than it is to cool down.
Absolutely.
And the same goes for our animals. Most animals do not sweat like humans sweat. Cold is an easier thing to deal with than the heat. And I just processed a turkey 2 days ago, and it was much nicer doing it in 20-degree weather than in 90-degree weather. Yeah, my hands were cold while I bled it out, but then when you start gutting it, it's nice and warm in that sucker.
Yeah.
And you ain't got to worry about all the flies and the bees and the heat and the back. No, you ain't got to worry about none of it. It's actually pretty nice.
You could just leave it up there hanging and freeze solid.
Yeah. We'll be doing rabbits next weekend. I'll probably do them in the shop, depending on the weather. We have a lot of wind. I mean, our winters are really windy. So, I mean, that's where half the issue is for us is just everything's windy right now. So we'll do the rabbits probably in the shop this weekend. I got, I don't know, a dozen and a half or so to do. But again, I prefer to do this stuff when it's cold than when it's hot.
Yeah, I find I'm more productive around the homestead when it's colder.
Yeah.
When it's hot, like I mean, there's some days you walk outside and it's just like the heat just hits you in the face.
Oh. Or you walk into your heated shop when you've been outside in 0-degree weather all day. It is warm in here, and it's only 60.
Look at that nice jacket you have, Dale.
Yeah. What a nice jacket. I got my hoodie.
Yeah, I see your hoodie, your logo on your hoodie.
Oh, yeah, this thing's old. Well, someone who makes hoodies? We need to get some new hoodies.
Yeah, I need to get me some made. I have this one, but it took like a long time to get them.
The person who made ours 5 years ago, they no longer do it. But 5 years, I've worn these hoodies and it's still pristine. I mean, I put my stuff through hell.
Me
So
too. I don't. Whatever I'm wearing, whatever I'm doing, I don't stop and like, oh, this is a good hoodie. No,
yeah,
it's going through it with me.
my wife bought me a pair of new blue jeans just for our wedding, and I was supposed to keep them for like date nights and stuff, and so that lasted about a week. I got a big old blood stain on them. It was an accident. I didn't mean to, but yeah, it just happens.
Yeah, I cut the corner of an egg roll out of my arm, and I busted my arm open yesterday. I think it was, or day before. And I what you do if you cut your arm on your shirt or your jeans? I mean, what what would anybody else do?
Just let it drip.
No, that's gross. That's
We
that's
had
just disgusting to let it just drip.
we had some people come by yesterday for a little consultation. They're really looking at. They just bought a farm, somewhat local, and they wanted to kind of see how we manage our animals on small property. And they realized we had actually um, called it the chicken in the shop, and I didn't have it all completely cleaned up apparently. And I was on the outside of the shop, but like in my driveway, I guess there was I left a little bit of the intestine in there sitting out, and they were like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Well, that's part of Homestead. That's chicken gut. That's part of a chicken gut right there, or a turkey gut." Yeah,
Yeah, that's one way to introduce someone into it.
yeah. I'm concerned. So I do a lot of consultations. Usually in the spring. I don't get hardly any in the winter, so I'm really happy. I've actually done two this winter. Um, I like when people want to learn about it in the winter because now is the time when you're going to start questioning why you're doing this if you've
Yeah,
never done it before. I mean, this is our 5th year full time doing it. And I have days where I question it. I know tomorrow when I'm milking at negative 12 degrees at 6 in the morning, probably going to be questioning it a little bit.
yeah. Wouldn't it be
So are
nice
my
to be
goats.
on a commute to an office job somewhere?
No,
You know,
no, no. I'll take this life any day. Um, and I try to get on. I do find that I had a little bit more time this week to be online, so I was able to pretty well just copy and paste the same response to everyone talking about wrapping their coops and freaking out about the wind chill. But we need more people to understand that the wind chill is not something to be scared of. It is something to think about, but it's not actually negative 36 degrees outside. Okay,
yeah.
it's not.
If yeah,
Nothing will get colder than what the actual temperature is. That is the actual temperature. If it is negative 4 degrees outside and you put a pipe outside, that pipe is not going to get any colder than negative 4 degrees. No matter
yeah,
how much wind is on it, it is an inanimate object. Wind chill does not make your house colder. It doesn't make water freeze faster. Um, it doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. It means don't be an idiot and go outside without proper winter wear on. Now I know you guys in the South don't have the gear that we have always. I mean, I have more money in winter gear than I do almost in my turkey hunting gear. And turkey hunting gear is not cheap, but we have winter for a third of the year, so our winter gear is plentiful.
I have a ton of winter gear for hunting. I just never get to wear it. So like tomorrow is my time to shine. Like I get
I want to see you out there with your coveralls on, your Carhartts.
yeah, I'll be out there with my $600 Sitka jacket that I wore one time.
Yeah, you're an idiot for buying that, but I got a new pair. So like I trade my cowboy boots in for heavily insulated muck boots in the winter, and I trade my cowboy hat in for my insulated toque. That's pretty well it. I go from cowboy to northerner
Cowboy to Dale's Quails.
to northerner. I love it. I couldn't imagine living where the air doesn't hurt your face. I really couldn't. I enjoy doing the animals in it. I enjoy the problems we have. I like working through problems, and I like showing people it's not as hard and scary as they're led to believe. I mean,
No, and
I can't stand all these chicken people. I'm in a lot of chicken groups, and I don't even know why, but they're all like, "Oh, I got the heat on." And it's like, why?
I don't understand it. And so like we're on the eve of a huge Arctic blast here in the South. Today
Oh,
is
that
not the
sounds
day.
so scary.
Yeah. Well, today is not the day to do your winter preparations.
No,
No.
no.
A month ago was the time to do your winter preparations. And people just they're last minute and they hit the panic button and then they start believing everything they see online, and you're just gonna get some wahoo that's gonna be like, oh, you have to put heat in there.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
My problem is
Chickens are
I'm not good.
fine.
I'm not good at conveying what I mean to say to people without them taking it offensively. I'm not trying to be condescending, and I'm not trying to criticize people. I'm just trying to show them or teach them that they're basing their actions off of not so accurate information.
Correct.
So, and it's hard to get that point across, especially nowadays. No one likes to hear that what they think is wrong. Me, especially, I don't either. But I understand that it's part of it. I mean, we don't know everything. We
No.
fail. We failed a lot, especially in the wintertime. I mean, this has been the smoothest winter we've ever had with rabbits. And it's the first winter we have done nothing other than remove the auto waterers. With no extra shelter, no extra feeding, no nothing. We just wanted to try it to see how it went. And so far it's been great. They're actually due to kid next weekend. So we'll see how all the mamas do, but it'll be fine.
Yeah, and there's, over the last few years, there's been more people that haven't raised chickens or haven't been, exposed to chickens or goats or farming in general that are getting into it now. So some people, it's their first winter or first real winter event that's they're going to experience with farm animals. So they're going to believe this just, the first thing they see. And because there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's, like, I try to tell people that the best thing you can do for any farm animal is make sure they're dry and they have a spot out of the wind.
Yeah, it's
Simple
all
as that.
fresh water one even 2 times a day. Even once a day is enough.
Yeah.
Preferably 2. 3 is probably optimal. There's days where we're too busy and we only get to do 3 waterings a day. But they're just like us. We can go more than 24 hours without water. They're not going to drop dead. I mean, it's not ideal, but you don't have to be out there every hour running water to an animal. They're not sitting at the watering cup.
No,
They slow down too.
They might in the summertime, but
Yeah.
they're not.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
not in the wintertime.
They do in the summertime. We go through a lot of water in the summer.
I have a group of quail that they enjoy slinging the water out of their water cups, and then they like pecking the water off the wire. The most annoying quail I've ever seen in my life.
Well, that's because you probably use those stupid gravity waterers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. Pet cups, man. Pet cups all day, every day.
No way. I have rows of PVC pipe with pet cups on it in the back of the barn with some plastic frame cages that are just I don't need anymore.
Yeah, because you use PVC pipe. Use hose. I don't use pipe. I like things that can be manipulated, moved, modified. Plus, we have to take our water systems off every year, so we don't use PVC. We just use maple syrup tubing. It's the same tubing we use for our maple syrup that we use for all of our water kits.
What? I'm gonna have to find out what maple syrup tubing is. Can you eat it after you're done with it?
I mean, if you want to, but it's food grade PVC. I mean, I don't think it's PVC, but it's food grade rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah, same stuff we use for all our hydroponics inside. I just found it. I don't like doing something and then not being able to modify it. So I don't like PVC pipes. So I don't do it. None of our waters, all of our rabbits and quail are all set up on tubing. So then if there's an issue, I can fix it, adjust it, add to it, take away from it. Super fast, super simple. The KISS method. Keep it simple and stupid. That's what I do. That's why my cages are like. That's why my cages are so easy to put together because, well, I designed them and I keep things simple and stupid.
Yeah, absolutely. And while you're saying that, I have a question. I know I'm skipping over comments, and usually like I'm more of a Q&A type of setting on my live streams, but this is more me and Dale just hanging out, and everyone just gets to watch us hang out.
Oh boy, I forgot there was people watching this, Aaron.
Yeah, good chance you didn't say anything bad, but. So Jacob, which is actually in Wisconsin, he's in northern Wisconsin. Jacob Lefebvre Ask Dale, I've been looking at your stacking brooder. How do you heat them for chicks?
I hardwire in ceramic lights, like actual light units for your house. I buy ceramic, and I just wire them in and put them up to switches. Most people probably just use a brooder plate. When I first started, I put a heat lamp in front, but I know how to do basic electrical, so I just wired in actual heat lamp bulbs that run off light switches. So every tier is a different light, has a different light switch. If you want to send me a message, Jacob, I can send you a picture of what I'm talking about. It's ridiculously simple. I can't send anything electrical with my kits because I'm not going through the hassle dealing with the government. So I'm not going to, but I can walk someone through it or send you to a YouTube video. I mean, it's 3 wires. They're ridiculously easy to wire in.
Yeah. And I suggested that stacking brooder to them for a smaller footprint, and stacking brooding.
So like for me, I keep my chicks for 3 days. Other than what we raise up for the dogs and us, a vast majority of what I hatch goes in 3 days. So my 5 stacks will hold 500 chicks. So we'll do 100 in each tier. They're only in there for maybe 24 hours, and then they're emptied out. They're sold off. So, and that's the same footprint as our 3 tiers. So 6 square feet, I can do 500 chicks. I could add a couple more tiers if I really wanted to. Yeah, I love the stacking. It's so efficient.
Yeah. I like vertical things because it takes up less of a footprint, and you can do more. Space is always an issue with everything. I mean, you don't like that's why I don't like to grow my own onions, because I think it just takes up too much space and takes too much time.
Growing them wrong, man. Onions don't get their own bed. They grow with everything else. Just keep them away from your beans.
Yeah. Well, we grow a lot of green onions, but I'm just not a fan of growing onions.
I think we do 1,600 every year, and we're going to try and pick it up this year. But we grow onions along all of our stuff, all of our tomatoes, our lettuces. Onions are amazing for deterring bad pests, slugs, stuff like that. So we plant onions. If I have 3 inches somewhere that's open in a bed and it's not by a bean or a potato, I grow an onion there.
Yeah, not a fan. So, got another question. Katrina asked, has anyone used Bass products? I'm looking into testing the rabbit water. They have a winter heating for their systems too. I didn't order that though.
It depends on where you're at. I mean, I used to use Bass for feeders, and then their rates went way up, even for buying in bulk. So I stopped.
Yeah.
I think we have one Bass rabbit cage, which, yeah, it was great, but we get the same stuff from Tractor Supply for $20, $25. So
yeah,
their quality, the stuff I've used has been, it's pretty good. My concern with water is, I know you just moved, but I'm pretty sure you moved. I don't know your altitude where you're at, Katrina, but the issue isn't with your reservoir freezing. It's wherever that water stops is where the freeze point is, which is why we can't use anything automatic. We could do circulating systems all day and heaters all day, but at every single point of where that water stops, it's going to freeze. And then it's just going to break everything.
So Verna is asking if you have a cream separator for your goat milk.
Heck yeah, I do. Beaver all day, man. I love that thing.
Yeah, Beaver's got some good products. They have nice meat grinders and vacuum sealers, and
I have my diesel heater for the shop, the Beaver.
Yeah.
Log forks for my tractor, my actual pallet forks for my tractor. Yeah. And our cream separator, which I love. I don't know how anybody could do goats like we do without a cream separator. We just did 2 gallons of cream into butter the other day for date night, and it was awesome. I mean, we make butter a lot, but it was just fun.
Yeah.
We did yogurt today. We made yogurt from our goat's milk and some bacteria, starter bacteria, and or whatever they call it, and it was amazing. Or we started it yesterday because it's like a 16-hour process, 24-hour process, but we ate it today and it was awesome. First time ever doing yogurt from scratch. So now we have our own base starter yogurt.
Yeah.
So we'll
Now you
keep our
can
own
just
yogurt
continue.
going. Yep.
That is pretty smart to just keep your base and then just keep on growing more.
Yeah, it's just like our starter. I mean, our sourdough starter has been going for years. I mean, I dehydrate a lot of it just so we have backup, and I'm going to try some with this yogurt. I'm going to try and dehydrate and then see if I can start yogurt off of that. As long as I do it at a low enough temp, I shouldn't kill any of the bacteria that we need, but we'll see. I know we're going to try it. It's either going to work or it ain't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would. I've seen people selling yogurt starter
Yep.
dehydrated.
Yeah. So we get 2 quarts of milk, goat's milk a day, with just 2 goats, and we go through a lot of milk, but 2 quarts a day, 365 days a year is a lot of milk. So
Yeah.
now we're to the point where we got the soaps coming in, get cheeses, sour cream, and now we got yogurt and obviously our butter.
Yeah. You make a lot of butter?
I do make a lot of
How is goat's milk butter?
it tastes like butter. It just tastes like butter.
The same. I didn't know if it had any. I know goat's milk, it tastes different than cow's milk.
Well, if you're buying store-bought cow's milk, but fresh goat's milk tastes just like fresh cow's milk to me.
The ones I tasted were a little not bad different, but you could taste like,
as long as it's fresh and cold. So we only drink goat's milk for 3 days. After 3 days, it gets separated, and then the dogs or the cheese or the yogurt get the skim, and then we do the butter or whatever else we need the cream for. But yeah, we only drink it for 3 days. After 3 days, I won't drink it. We made ice cream with goat's milk that was like 5 days old, and the kids loved it, but it was no bueno. It's no bueno. No bueno.
Run and buy extra toilet paper. So Shane Seal with Seal's Family Farm is asking, has Mr. Dale ever used beet juice in his livestock waters to keep them from freezing?
I have not, because of our sustained cold temperatures. We do use it on our roads up here, but once you're hitting 0, beet juice still freezes. I do know some farmers, they have systems set up north, especially that like the dairy farms, that they'll use a mixture of beet juice, molasses, stuff like that. I'm sure it would work, but for me, it's okay. I have to pick up a 5-gallon bucket and bring it to the animal. Then at the end of the day, I got to bring that 5-gallon bucket back in. That's pretty efficient for me versus trying to keep the beet juice going and wasting my beets that I absolutely love, by the way. We never grow enough beets, so I couldn't waste beets to make beet juice either. We did want to do beet sugar one year just to see if we can do it, but well, it is a thing we've talked about because beet juice is pretty common up here for the roads.
That's interesting. Beet juice on the roads?
Well, it's better for our cars than the salt, man.
Yeah.
When we buy used vehicles, we make sure we buy them from the south, not too close to the ocean, but from the south, because you don't want to buy a northern car. You don't. You're
going down the interstate and there's a 10-year-old car and there's like holes in the side panels and
that's my truck.
Rust.
My truck's 20 years old, and other than the new stuff I put on it this year, it looks like it's 30 years old. I mean, it's just missing. They're not even falling off. The parts are just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use a lot of salt up here.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because like far down south, I mean, we could just have salt air. Like you could literally, sometimes when the wind's blowing out the south where I live at, it feels like you're on the beach because of the salt air, the sea salt in the air.
You ever collect it? See if you could condense it and collect it.
We have so much oil field and chemical plants around here, it would probably be polluted.
That's where we lack. That's one natural resource that we have to buy, and we do buy it in bulk, is salt. I have no salt mines near me. I'm literally in the middle of the country, so there's no salt water near me either. So
yeah,
salt is one of those things that are on our grocery list. I mean, we buy it in bulk, but we buy, rock salt or Himalayan salt, sea salt, and salt with iodine. So we store all three.
Yeah.
Because believe it or not, people, we need iodine in our systems. It's actually one of the main things that keeps our immune system actually working. So make sure you're getting iodine.
Yeah, we limit our salt intake, but not like super strict about it. We just limit. We're weird.
Yeah, you are weird.
I can't disagree.
Well, you're talking to me, and you got to be weird.
Yeah, but just think about the weirdos that's watching me and you talk.
Well, surprisingly, this discussion was my idea, which really, she was like, "Wait, you're gonna go on you're gonna make time to go on someone's live stream?" And I was like, "Look, I am tired of watching all these people almost burn their damn houses down. Yeah, someone needs to explain that this is not necessarily the best route to take."
Yeah, and so heat lamps are dangerous if not used properly. Heat lamps cause a lot of fires and farming, but they're not evil either.
No, I mean that's what I use. My brooders are all heat lamps.
Yeah, they're being misused.
I use them because I have to use them. If I don't have to use them, I'm not going to use them. I'm not going to risk it. Right? It's just not. I'm sure there's an analogy somewhere I could think of that people would get. It would be really extreme and sound really cool and inappropriate, but I can't think of it right now. Sure, there's something.
So in one of my bigger stove type brooders, I have when it gets cold, usually it's 2 heat lamps running there. When it gets cold, I run a third. And each one, one of them, the shroud came off, so I had just the bulb. And I was changing out waters one night, and the water dripped onto the hot bulb. What you think happened?
Oh, it blew up. That's what happened. Yep. And then guess what happens when it's 20 below outside here? They blow up.
Yeah. So whose fault is that? Is that
your fault?
Is that the heat bulb, or is that mine? That's my fault.
That's your fault.
So
I switched to ceramics one winter before I built a quail barn. When I was where we had the goats now was my quail barn. No insulation. Like I said, it's just an old cobbler shed. And I had numerous times I'd go out in the morning. I'd look out my kitchen window and I wouldn't see a red glow. So I knew I lost all my chicks. I'd go out there, and that's what was happening. The condensation, the moisture would build up in that barn and pop the bulbs. Mm-hmm. So I switched to ceramic, and I hate them damn things because you can't tell if they're working from afar. My shed's 50 yards away from my house. I ain't running out there when it's 20 below. Yeah, I know I live up here, guys, but it don't mean I enjoy being out in it all the time.
Exactly.
So I use heat lamps because I need to, because they work. But I don't use them anytime that I don't have to use them, I guess is what I mean to say. Yeah. If I don't have to heat an animal to keep it alive, I'm not going to. I just won't do it. It's not worth the risk because I've had many break and pop and blow up. And without doing anything inappropriate, just the moisture in the air. It can still be pretty moist and humid when it's wintertime. I mean, you have to have a certain amount of air moisture to get snow, so.
I'm not lacking air moisture.
No. Yeah, see, I'd be really worried down south with the amount of condensation and moisture you guys get using heat lamps. But you can get away with using heat plates. I can't. Unless you're in a climate-controlled room above 60, I wouldn't use a heat plate. There isn't a single heat plate on the market I would trust.
Oh, absolutely not. And so on my brooders that I have the heat plates in, they're not directly onto the ground. There's an air gap because the cold will radiate up, even through concrete. You put a tote on with a brooder plate on concrete, and that bottom of that brooder will be just as cold as the concrete. Won't be a good situation.
Air is a good buffer. That's actually why when you plastic your windows, I don't know if y'all do that in the South, but we plastic our windows. That's all. That's what you're doing. You're just creating that little air pocket. That air pocket's a good buffer for heat. Yep.
Well, insulated glass. I mean, it's just it's actually impregnated with, gas, but remove the oxygen. But that's just so you don't have moisture in between the panes.
But that's old stuff. They're new stuff, not old stuff. My house was built in 1892, and I'm pretty sure I still have original windows in it because I got lots of ice crystals on my windows. It's pretty cool. We actually taking pictures, and we homeschool, so I was going over a lot of that stuff with my youngest on ice crystals and condensation and freezing and stuff. So, we use the flaws in our lives to teach people, which is why I'm on your show.
Yeah,
I've done everything wrong at least twice.
it usually takes me a few times myself.
Yeah, I mean, I've never burned my shed down, thankfully, but I see them burn down every year.
Yeah, it is sad too, to see it happen. And some people, their coops are extremely close to their houses, and I mean, it could be catastrophic. That's the last thing you want to wake up to is smoke in your house because you thought your chickens needed heat and they really didn't.
Or you got a beautiful line of birds that you gave frostbite to because you wrapped them in plastic,
Yeah,
right? Or they froze to death because of frostbite. I saw a post earlier, and I couldn't think of how to respond that didn't make me sound like an asshole, so I didn't respond. But that's pretty well what happened. They had wrapped their quail coop in plastic, and the temperature is still the temperature, and too much condensation causes ice. They froze. That's why airflow is key to all animals.
Half of my quail barn facing on the south wall is screen. It's solid on the bottom, and the top half of the wall is screen, like window screen. And what I do in the wintertime is I put the 1 inch thick foam insulation board on the inside covering the screen just as a wind stop. And it retains a lot of heat. I'm not insulated or climate controlled in there at all. Like zero. I refuse to climate control the quail. Before I air condition or heat the quail barn, I will get rid of them.
Yeah. If I didn't live up here, I could feel that, but I live up here where
Yeah, that's a different situation. I mean, you're talking about eggs are freezing in a matter of a couple hours and stuff, and which I never had a quail egg freeze
no,
in there. No.
you can still incubate cracked eggs. It's still a thing. They still incubate it. I mean, you think about it, your incubator should be disinfected. If you're hatching in it, it should be disinfected after every hatch. But if you're not hatching it and you're only setting in it like we do, we disinfect once a week, once every other week. So that crack in the egg is not going to let bacteria in there because there's not much bacteria to go in. It should be in a clean, sterile environment anyway. But yeah, I mean, just because an egg's cracked or frozen, I mean, if it's frozen solid, you might as well toss it. But the study that I found earlier and had posted when I was looking through it, I mean, they were hatching chicken eggs that sat outside at -1 for 10 hours and still getting 60-70% hatch rate, even with crack shells. Quail eggs, I'd say cut that time by a third. When it's 0 degrees out, I'd give it 4 hours tops until that shell's or that egg's probably frozen solid.
Yeah. But I never had to experience it.
Well, come on up.
No,
any day you want. I check for chicken eggs more than I go in for cups of coffee because I have to.
Well, you see, the roads are closed here.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. I'm in Wisconsin and everything is shut down tomorrow because it's going to be -2 degrees. So
everything's shut down. Like grocery stores are closed, banks are closed, bridges are closed, schools closed, like a government offices are closed. I'm off of work. Off. Yeah, well, I mean that's the government's always looking for an extra day off. But like I'm actually off of work tomorrow with the snow. Like this is like everything's shut down.
Yeah, you see, some of us don't get off just because it's cold and snowy.
Yeah. It's so and it's kind of fun because I mean it's like 38 degrees outside.
That's wild.
It's not that cold.
We had school shut down in Canada when it hit like -30. That's when school would shut down. And I'm not talking wind chill. That's a daily thing. I'm talking actual temp. So there was a few times when I was in school in Canada that school was shut down because of temp, but never at 0 degrees. This is mind blowing. I mean, the 2 kids that still go to public school, it's a 5-minute walk to school. Like, yeah, but they shut down because of 0 degrees or -2 or whatever it's supposed to be. I mean, it is going to be -12 in the morning, but this is winter. It's supposed to be like this.
Yeah,
I mean, a
but
few
negative
years
30,
ago,
that's life threatening, you know.
yeah, 4 years ago, my first year with quail, we had -30 for a week. We had -40 for a couple days, and then we had another week of -30. I had to replace every battery in every vehicle because that was cold. Yeah, that was a cold. That was a cold couple weeks.
Yeah, once you get like past -20, then you're talking like frostbite in, less than 30 minutes. And
Well, you already are at zero. I think it's like 20 minutes, but yes,
yeah,
-20 and under. I mean, most animals, cold climate animals, are accustomed to -20. Being, towards the colder end, you know, they'll find shelter and bury in, and they won't get out until it's warmer than that. So, -20, I could see, but negative or at 0 degrees, shutting school down is just that's why we are homeschooling all our kids starting next year, all of them. I mean, we already homeschooled a baby, but my high schooler, he'll be homeschooled for high school. Our middle schooler, she'll be homeschooled for middle school and high school. It's just wild. But now you're going to get me way off topic. Start yapping about the government and government
yeah,
schools.
yeah. That's another live stream we'll do. Yeah, that, don't even get me
So,
started.
did I miss anything? I think I pretty well covered. The biggest
Yeah,
thing is airflow and just fresh, cold water a couple times a day and airflow. A wind block. It's not called a wind-free area. It's a wind block. A board, a piece of cardboard, literally anything just to give them an area to get out of the wind.
a used feed bag.
A used feed bag. That's actually what I did. That's where I went wrong with my duck coop. That's what I wrapped it in underneath the siding. Oh, I went all out for my ducks. I gave them nice interior, wrapped with feed bags, some siding. I found some siding that was left when we bought the house, so I put some siding, a shingle roof on it. And then it was like, oh, you need the math was like 6 square feet of open air space. And I'm like, this whole thing's only like 8 square feet. Like, no, I'll give them I'll open the lid an inch is what I did. I opened the lid for an inch, and I learned my lesson real quick
Yeah,
that was nowhere near enough airflow.
no. Airflow is very important. I mean, summertime and wintertime.
Yeah,
You,
it is. It's that moisture. So,
yeah, I like all of my chicken runs are covered, and like for the silkies have a different feathering on them. They are mostly blocked from the wind, but they do have a lot of airflow, like going across. So they're really the only ones I'm worried about. The white American breast, I am not concerned about at all. They're supposed to be one of the most hardiest birds in the world, and we're about to find out with a bunch of snow.
well, that's not the true test. Yeah, I think that an animal does need to acclimate, and they need more than 24 hours to acclimate. So, major temp swings are going to screw with everything. There's nothing you can do to control that. Like going from 50 to -20, which we have done before, 51 day and -15 the next day. None of my animals wanted to do anything that day, and neither did I.
No, I wouldn't
My
either.
diesel freezes. I had to start my tractor this morning, and it took me forever. I thought I was going to have to get the blower out on it. Our diesel freezes if we don't get enough conditioner in it, or the good enough conditioner, or if we bought diesel, because I store diesel. If I didn't get through on my summer diesel before the store started getting winter diesel, well, it's going to freeze and it gels out. And that's what I couldn't get my tractor started for a while this morning. Tomorrow morning is probably not going to start. I'm probably going to have to try to bring it to the shop here when I get off with you. And because I would need my tractor tomorrow, I'll get some compost. I got to flip my compost every day in the winter.
You don't have a block heater on that thing?
No, I didn't know I didn't have a block heater on it until it was too late. See, I wasn't prepared. It's my first winter with the tractor, man.
Yeah. Maybe put like a tarp over it and put a heat lamp.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put some straw in it too and give it some fresh water, some nice hot water. I'll pour
Yeah.
some hot water down it. I bet you that'll help.
Yeah, I bet you that would work.
No, I got a what do they call those those torpedo torches? You just hook it up propane torpedo
Yeah.
heater. I'll just
Yeah.
blow that on it. No, I'm definitely getting a block heater though. I just didn't realize that it didn't come with one until I went to go look for the plug a couple weeks ago to plug it in, and I noticed there wasn't one. I'm like, oh, that's cool. This is going
Yeah.
to be a fun winter because I do. I have to flip my compost every day. I use the ice shell that it builds up every day is the moisture for it because we have no snow yet. So all the heat breaks it down, and I keep my compost going. Come spring, I'll have another whole 10 yards of compost ready, 10 or 12 yards ready to go. So we compost year round.
Yeah, us too. I don't have any shortage of quail manure to compost. I'm tempted to plug in the block here in my truck because it might be the only chance I ever get to use it.
You said it's going to be 30 degrees.
Well, tomorrow night we'll drop down to like 22.
Your diesel will be fine at 22.
I know, but I just want to be able to say I did it. So Verna's asking if you compost the goat scat.
Oh yeah, I do in the wintertime. I got no plants to put it on, so yeah, rabbit and goat all go in the compost pile all winter long. Normally, no. Normally, we bag it and give it away to people. This year, we're hoping to put in more gardens for people, so we'll in the spring we'll start saving it, bagging it. We dry it. I got a cold poop dryer that I use. I think I might have sent a picture. You might have seen it. I got like a 4x8 screen that I use for my drying of the rabbit and goat poop. We bag it up into feed bags and give it away to people. But no sense doing that in the wintertime, so we just put it in the compost.
Yeah, straight in and let it build up.
We just mix it. My compost pile has everything in it. Guts, everything. We compost everything. When we don't have pigs, everything goes in the compost pile.
Yeah, that's why I keep pigs. All the organic. I have a bag of big cabbage leaves to feed to the pig tomorrow. But we compost everything else. Anything organic waste that the pigs don't get, we compost. And we have no shortage of manure around here to compost.
Bet not.
No, I mean everything. I'm convinced that quail poop more than they eat.
I want to say I read a study a couple years ago. It's either 7 or 9, but I think quail poop like every 9 minutes. I think that's what it was. Like every 9 minutes, their body does its release because they don't have a sphincter muscle. They can't control it just like chickens. But I know they definitely poop a lot more than chickens and ducks. A lot more. Like consistent, like time-wise, they poop a lot more. I know my goats can hold their poop because they wait until they get on the milk stand every night. They wait. That's why I got a shovel sitting right there. I just wait. I just bring them up there and wait.
You just catch it straight in the shovel.
I just wait. I start putting the bag under there in the summertime.
Straight, just put the garden under there. So how you doing on time, Dale? You ready to wrap this one up?
Yeah, I'm good, buddy. If you are, if I answered and helped some people out and saved some people from burning down their buildings, yeah, I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Again, people need to remember, wind chill is not a temperature. It is not a temperature. It is a feeling. It is a feeling on bare skin. A piece of nylon, like a surgical glove. That's what we wear, surgical gloves underneath all of our work gloves, because it negates wind chill 100%. That number means absolutely nothing.
Absolutely.
So,
well, thanks for coming on tonight. This was your idea anyway, but thank you everyone for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Even if you didn't like the video, just still hit the thumbs up. I don't know if I
subscribe. What's your channel name?
You do subscribe. Don't even start. You've been subscribed.
Okay. I don't know. I'm not on my phone. I don't do this very often.
Yeah, you've been subscribed.
Now I got to call a lady and tell her brooder ain't going out tomorrow because I was on here.
Blame it on me. That's fine. It's fine. Yeah, but thank you everyone. Thank you, Dale, for taking time out, and we'll be in touch with you.
If anyone has questions, reach out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of us have lived this life our entire life in the cold. Yeah. We know a thing or two about cold.
And I'll be experienced for the cold for the next 48 hours, so you could ask me a question.
He'll be on there asking about heat lamps. Don't worry, guys. Just remember what we talked about.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you later.